Well, you should wash doors. Good wives do wash doors. Hey everybody, this is our second episode on Shut Up Amanda. I'm Johnny.
I'm Amanda.
And so we wanted to start off this one just kind of explaining to everybody how the name Shut Up Amanda came about. Sometimes when I tell people, people laugh. Sometimes people give me a weird look. Sometimes people are like, where did you come up with that name? And I always be like, I didn't really come up with it. Amanda did. I came up with like the catchphrase, but it definitely is because of her. Essentially she just roasts me all the time. She makes fun of me. She makes me look really dumb, and she makes me
in a playful way. I'm not just walking around like making you look dumb. It's generally something you've done or said.
That's probably dumb.
I have a zinger, and the only comeback you have is shut up, Amanda.
Right. Like I would never tell my wife just shut up and be serious about that. Like that's just not who we are. That's never who we've been. Like, you know, if, you know, it's got to where people at work even know, like anybody that we're around, you know, it kind of came about because after so long of being around people and people talking to us and us talking to people and it happening, that if they heard something or if I said it, then I would hear people repeating it. Shut up, Amanda. Shut up, Amanda. And to the point that I knew that other people had picked up that was my comeback to her, like all the time. And so, you know, and it happens frequently, about once a day, probably, whether we're in the truck on the way to work. For those that don't know, we're together 24/7. We ride to work together. We ride home from work together, and we work together. And when I say together, I don't mean in the same building at a different office space. Like we work in the same room on doing our job together 5 feet apart all night. So, you know, it doesn't mean that it is all great and that it's all jokes all the time. That's, you know, I don't think any marriage is like that, but the shut up Amanda part, it is always, lighthearted and joking. But we just wanted to kind of give people the understanding of where that come from. We didn't want anybody to come on here and think that, you know, oh, this guy just, you know, he tells his wife to shut up and now they've made a joke about it. You know, the shut up Amanda is part of the joke.
He didn't want to use it. He figured that, you know, people would automatically judge you like you're just this crappy husband and all this stuff. I felt like it was the only option, but I mean, like anybody that knows us knows that.
Right. Like when we were talking about names for the podcast, like I had just, you know, drove myself crazy trying to think of names. I still think I had some really good names.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yes, I did. I wanted to call it Serving It Up with Johnny and Amanda because we're servers. So I thought that would be a great name because, you know, we're sharing, you know, our lives and information or whatever we're serving to you all. And then we're servers in real life. So I thought Serving It Up with Johnny and Amanda would have been a great name. But she shot that down and, you know, she was like, no, we need to do Shut Up Amanda. And so I finally caved in and said, okay. And, you know, here we are, you know, so, yeah, I do love it. I love it. You know, we had a logo created. I think it turned out, you know, amazing. You know, we had a bunch of logos created actually. I think last week I did a different one up here on the TV. But we had a bunch created. They all turned out really, really fantastic. And, yeah, that's how it came about. There's tons of examples that you all will probably, you know, hear in real time on the show. But then also, you know, I'll go, you know, probably tell some stories over time. But it's usually when I say something that's either incorrect and I argue with her over it because I I will stand my ground over if I think I'm right. And then it usually comes out that, she proves me wrong after a period of time. Or I just say something that's just really not smart. And she's so quick witted and like she's very calm demeanored and soft spoken. And so I'm sure, people out there understand when you have that person that's very quiet normally and soft spoken, but then they come in there with like a zinger and roast you, then you never know how to react to that because it's, even though with me and her, it's common now, it still catches me off guard at times, or I'm still like, I can't believe she just said that. Like, where did that come from? Like she's so funny. She, which is part of the reason why I like her and why I fell in love with her is because
why you like her.
I do like you, I love you, but I also like being around you, I might still say I love your company. I love being around you. I love, I love you, but I like being around you. I enjoy being around you most of the time. There's sometimes I don't. You make my blood pressure high a lot and you complain a lot, but that's, I think that's part of any marriage. I think most men out there would agree with me on that. But yeah, so that's where Shut Up Amanda come from. We're happy with it. And we hope, all the people watching, and enjoys the show we're trying to do. And, whether we get, 100 views on a video or 10,000, or we get to where it does 10 million or 1. Personally, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing them because I want this channel, the people that come after us, to be able to look back and see, what their grandparents, great grandparents, great grandparents were doing, in 2025, like what was life like? What was their lives like? I'm sure most of us could agree that, we would all love to be able to go back and watch, our grandparents or somebody, some of our ancestors, and watch a video of them telling their story about their lives. And, most of us can't do that because there wasn't phones and cameras back then. So, but that's where it's come from. And then to get into kind of a topic, we always go back and forth on topics. We most of the time so far we haven't got organized enough to really set a dedicated topic and agree on that and, write notes out on it. I'd said in the first episode that I want to, I just want to get better each time. The first episode we did 1 camera. This one I'm doing, 3 camera angles. And I just want to kind of keep making each episode better, learning as I go. Right now I'm doing, all the filming. I'm doing all the editing myself. I'm creating the thumbnails. I'm doing it all myself. And I enjoy doing it. But I'm also learning as I go of how to do all this, how to, produce a podcast and how to edit it and coming up with topics and all of that is tough, but also I think it's important part of our show to do that. It helps me and her stay on task and not just sit here wondering what to talk about, but just talking about, really don't want to talk too much about the problem of addiction or, if somebody has a question, I'm an open book and I don't have a problem going with anything. It's more of just talking about the solution and how we made it out of addiction. That's more where we like to stay. Just because it's more motivating. I think it's more inspirational. Yeah. Letting people know where I've been, I've been down, me and Amanda both have been in some really dark places and really, really tough times in life. And, I've did more things that I'm not proud of that are bad or against the law that, I could ever, count or, care to admit, things that I regret, things that I'm ashamed of, still to this day. But through all this, I've realized that, you can't change the past no matter how much we try. And so there just comes a time where you have to just embrace, your past, present, and future and just kind of move forward And that's kind of what we try to focus on today is just moving forward. The past is what it is, all these, things that I'd been through or Amanda had been through and the bad things we did, those are part of our past. And
it's how we're here today. Like, if you think about it, like, I mean, it was a lot of really times, like, really just tough, like, bad times. Like, if we're qualifying for, who we were, like, we could talk about it for days. We really don't need to do that. It's there. We've qualified. Like, but all of that brought us to here today. Like, we were born out of that, essentially. Like, we didn't, come from like this easy, simple, like straight path. Like, it was a whole lot of wrong turns, a whole lot of disaster.
Well, yeah, I mean, even
that got us to the people we are today. And so, I don't have the shame and all of that behind it. Like, I mean, there were some things that, looking back, I'm like, maybe I wish I had done that differently. But at the end of the day, what could you take out and still be the people we are today? So,
100%. And also it's like, like it makes me more proud of myself too. Like somebody that drinks one beer a week and they're able to quit that.
Right.
Like that's good for you.
Right.
That's awesome. And you should be proud of yourself if you're able to quit anything that you feel is not good for your body, your life, your mental health, physically,
because
your kids.
Today it is very like on trend, so to speak.
People to do sober,
to be, like you have the sober, Januaries and the sober, the different sober times, and people do it for fitness goals or just for other purposes in life. And I love seeing that. That's not the direction that
wasn't our life, right?
Came to.
Right. And I was just saying that because and also personally, like I have to remember those dark, bad times, being able to remember and playing that tape back of all these horrible times I went through and bad things I did that ended me up in places I didn't like, situations that were dangerous that I didn't like. Remembering those times is what keeps me sober and on the path I'm on today. When you forget, how bad it was, that's when things can get shaky and so many addicts and alcoholics go back to the drink or the drug because they forget what it was like, or say somebody, they only drank that one beer a week. Well, it's probably their life probably wasn't that bad because of one beer. So it'd be really easy for them to forget how bad it was because it wasn't that bad,
Or just the notion of, I learned a lot from all of that. So if I just do things differently, I'll have a different outcome.
Right.
That's not who we are.
Right. Exactly. But I'm proud, I'm so proud of where we are today and who we are today. And that's probably like me and Amanda are very different. She's very quiet. She's more reserved. She's very private. She's very guarded. And I'm not. I never have been. And I took the mindset of when I got sober that I wanted to tell the world about my life and, and be willing to tell the deepest, darkest sides of it, regardless of who's seen it or what, because I thought, well, they need to know how bad it got for them to really appreciate how good it is.
And that's true. But from my side of it, I'll tell this go around, in less than a month, I'll have almost 11 years. And so, I stopped being, the proud, prideful, keep it all to myself person, that I was 11 years ago because it hadn't worked for me. up to then. Like, I would have 6 months, I would have 9 months, I would have a year, and it just wasn't working. It was because I was leading a double life. I had my, in the rooms life where they all knew who I was and could help me. And then I had that, buttoned up and proper life where, everything was perfect. And that just did not work. So, getting honest on every level of life. Like, there's essentially nobody that we're around that I'm not loud and proud that I'm in recovery, I'm sober, I don't drink, I don't party, I don't do the stuff, I don't do any of that. And I feel like that's opened the doors to be able to help people.
Oh, 100%.
And on a personal level, I can share some of, the war stories, so to speak. But on, a public level, like, I just feel like that it's not that I'm not open. Like, I share, all day, every day. I'm in recovery. That's who I am. But I'm on the recovery side of it. So living in those days that, were just horrific and horrible isn't really something that I'm ever going to do. Like, it was bad. It was bad. And, if I'm, giving my lead in an AA meeting, I'll do what the big book says and I'll qualify myself and then move straight on. But to just share those horrible stories and things like that, it's just never something that I'm comfortable with.
No, and I get that for sure. Like, with me, like, I always just looked at it as, I need them to understand how bad it was to appreciate where I am today. Like, they can't understand the progress that I or you have made without understanding how bad it was. It was, addiction's not just the drug intake, that's just a symptom of the whole lifestyle and the behaviors. When I'm out there using drugs, I'm not a good person. I'm a thief. I'm a liar. I'm a con artist. I'm all these things that no good person would do. And so, people don't want to be around that person. And so when I see that, people can see I'm a good person today. I'm honest. I give back to people. I help homeless people. I do anything good I can possibly do. And, I feel like people don't appreciate that without knowing. Yeah.
Because I hear this a lot because you can take paths. Like, everybody's bottom is different.
Right.
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 So some people, may never have, had to experience some of the lows that we did.
Maybe somebody never had to go to jail.
Maybe never go to rehab, maybe never go to jail, maybe never overdose or, all of those things. So those people generally might know that they have a problem, but aren't able to get to the solution because they think that they can't qualify yet because they've not been to jail. They've not had to go to rehab. They've not lost friends and family. They've not lost a job. They've not had any of those significant, massive bottoms that a lot of people have had. And so I always think about that. Like, are they struggling to be able to walk into the room of AA because they feel like,
Well, I think most of them
haven't done any of that yet, so I'm not. I really don't need help.
Well, that's a step one problem. I think most of them, like we said earlier, when you don't have any consequences after the first time, it's a lot easier to do it a second time. I think that's similar. Is like, a lot of times when people don't have any consequences at all, or at least ones they notice themselves, it's much harder to admit you're an alcoholic or an addict if you've never had any consequences. That's why alcoholics can last so long. Because it's legal, right? Like, you can go buy it, you can drink it at home, like, it's completely legal.
It's acceptable socially.
Right.
Like, people don't see it as a problem. I mean, like, we rarely go to stuff like keeping that all the way honest. Like, we really keep to ourselves. We're not the after work go out people, or, let's go to the party with friends people. We're just not. But on the rare occasion that we do go to something, like, even people that know, like, where we've come from, they'll still be like, oh, you can have one drink, right?
Yep.
They'll still do that. And so it's a constant, like, explaining of stuff of, no, like, I cannot, like, can't have a half a drink, can't have a sip, can't do any of that. That's not who I am. But I mean, in terms of on the yet, I think it's hard for people to see the yets. Like, for us, as
100%.
being, almost 11 years, we can look at a newcomer and that's literally walking in and never had any real major massive consequences and tell them it's a yet. But how hard is it for them to be able to understand? Like,
Huge.
I think it's incredibly hard for a newcomer when they come in and they're hearing, this person overdosed, or this person, just did all this jail time, or this person's been in 11 rehabs, or all of that. And they're just the struggling, alcoholic, just kind of, having some, maybe like marital issues or stuff like that. And it's significant to them enough that they're willing to walk in the room. But I think that they look around and they're like, well, I'm not that bad.
Or a lot of times they're like, I don't fit in with these people. You know, like when I was in rehab, you're in there with 100 people and everybody's different. There was people in there that own their own successful businesses. There was homeless people, like legit,
or like, okay, so where we live now, one of the locations for meetings, there's a women's treatment facility in town. So a lot of the women from that treatment facility go there. There's the same thing back home, where you went to rehab. All of these rehab men come in every night to the meetings. And I think for a lot of just your regular, walking in off the street, like, you see that and you're just like, I'm not there yet. Right. And so I'm always afraid, and that's why I just keep things real. I'm always afraid that will turn somebody away and they'll think they're not qualified yet, because if you think you have a problem, you have a problem.
Right. If you have to question whether you have a problem or not, then you have a problem.
I should have known. If I had the knowledge that I have today, 20 years ago, I would have known who I was. And I could have maybe skipped a whole lot of it. But, you just don't know until you know. Like 20 years ago, my thinking was even still, it was so like, like going out, I would not order a drink at the Mexican restaurant because I knew that I couldn't just drink the margarita. I knew that I needed 10 margaritas and to be carried out. Like, I knew that about myself. Right. I always knew that I don't want to drink because I know that I'm going to, be like not able to take care of my life things if I drink. Nobody normal does that. They don't question that. They know that they can, I never put that together until finally I made it in the rooms. And, somebody said, normal drinkers don't think I've got to control this tonight. Like, only problem drinkers think that way, And that was my thought literally from the earliest age, was if I drink, I'm going to be out of control. And I can't be out of control, like,
Right. Well, that's like with me, like, I just know that, all those experiences, that whether you don't realize that you may have a problem, or you don't feel like maybe you're qualified to be there or whatever. Like every person's road's different. Like you said, every person's bottom is different. There are definitive um, criteria to qualify you as an alcoholic or an addict, right? So that's each person. That's why step one is step one. But with me, I know that every single situation, every single circumstance that I was in back when I was getting high and getting drunk led me to be here today. Even after I got sober, if I hadn't got kicked out of rehab for horse playing, I would not have met you the way that I did. Like, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yep.
So everything has like a ripple effect. And, so that's, that leads kind of back to why I'm always open about my past, because I feel so strongly about it. Brought me to where I'm today. It made me the person I am today. It molded me to who I am today. I feel like if any one certain situation in my past hadn't happened, it would have changed the trajectory of my life, especially the big events,
For sure.
like these major events, that if they hadn't happened, the trajectory of my life would not be where I'm at today. And so that's like I said, is there some things that I would change? Of course. Is there some things I still regret doing or saying? Of course. Is there some things I'm still ashamed of? Yes, but I can't change them. And, I don't hide from it. I don't hide from my past. Neither of us do. But by being open about being in recovery, I think we've helped several people just where we work at, and I mean, actually helped them, but the amount of people that have walked up to us and said, hey, I know y'all are in recovery. I'm struggling. What do I need to do? They don't always take the advice, because we work in an industry where, alcohol and drugs is prevalent and is, it's notorious for that. Right. I'm not saying that we see it where we work. Like, I'm not saying we're seeing drug use or anything like that. That's not at all what I'm saying. I've never seen anything like that. But knowing that, people get off at work and they go have a drink, that's very common, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we have been around a lot of people that we work with that we've seen struggle, and they've come up and talked to us, and that makes you, it makes you feel good that, oh, they know, like, me being honest and open about my life has caused this person to then come up to me and be like, hey, I'm struggling.
Well, it's like that thing that, like, where the alcoholics in the hole and, all these different people come by. The priest comes by and is like, oh, let me help. I'm going to pray for you. The doctor comes by and is like, oh, let me help. I'm going to write you a prescription. And, the people just keep coming by, but they don't know how to help.
Right.
The alcoholic comes by and says, I've got you, and is able to get them out of the hole. Like, when you're open about who you are and the fact that, you're in recovery and you don't live that life anymore. And, the life that we do have today is really good, and people can see that, it encourages people. It, gives them a little bit of motivation that, I can get there too. And so, like it's just, it's powerful when, you're able to give back to something that has just given us life.
Everything. Yeah.
Like,
with that, it's insane. Like, I think, for me, like, there's still times that I don't even feel like I deserve to be here today. Like, I didn't earn this spot in life where I'm at today. And, I'm worried, that my past is still going to create problems for me. I still worry about that from time to time of, like, if, I got in trouble once from something that happened 3 years before that. And ever since then, I've always been like, is my past going to come back and haunt me in some way? Like, am I going to get hit with a bill from something, or, even simple as that? Like, we still from time to time will get a bill from something from a decade ago before
Yeah.
we was even together, right? So your past can still come back and haunt you. It's about how you deal with it. And today, if regardless of what happened, it doesn't matter what happened today in my life, whether I have had people pass away, I've lost jobs since I've been sober. There's still been a lot of bad things happen since we've been sober, right? And since we've been together, we've been together pretty much since we both first got sober. And so, but I still don't go out here and I don't drink. I don't use drugs because of that anymore. I don't use that as an excuse to go get high or to get drunk. But it's just it's just crazy that.
And we try to stay just real even. Like,
right.
I was taught that a long time ago. Stay in the middle, not too high, not too low. And I think last year was the real test for that, because on both ends of the spectrum, it was the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And, I was able to just keep going, stay sober.
Right. Yeah, no, for you, for sure. Like, I remember when I was using and something would happen, they always say, I got drunk or got high just because, somebody died. I would try to get drunker or higher. If something good happened, I was going to get drunk. If something bad,
Monday.
it didn't, right. Yeah, right. I woke up today, I'm doing this, but to be able to quit and not use drugs or have a drink for 11 years, I think that the people that know us today, the people that have given us chances, the people that have gotten to know us, from people at work to friends to acquaintances, I think people know who we are today. I don't think, and you never know, but I think most people know who we are today. And I think after, 11 years of sobriety, that gives people the time to judge you by who you are today.
Right.
And,
because today we're the most boring people.
right.
People laugh at the way we bicker and banter and all of that, but they also know, we're not going out, we're not partying. We come home, we play games. I live in, running shorts and sweatshirts, and we just are not.
Right. No, we, our normal, everyday life. And maybe I'll do a video one day of just like
a day in the life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, y'all would be so bored.
I don't know. I mean, we are boring in terms of we don't go out. Like, we don't go out to eat very often. Maybe once or twice a year we'll go out to eat. We don't even eat fast food.
And that has nothing to do with the fact that of the lifestyle that we live. It has everything to do with, I just would rather cook at home.
Right. It has that, I'm comfortable. Now, early on, I didn't want to go around people that were drinking or doing drugs and stuff because I didn't want to be tempted at all. Now, I still don't go around people who do illegal drugs because it's illegal and I don't want to put myself in that position.
Yeah.
But the drinking side of it, it doesn't bother me at all, to be around alcohol or to be around somebody drinking. I still don't.
To a degree.
Right. I don't want to be around some drunk person.
They are obnoxious and irritating and you're full-fledged sober. It is aggravating.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to be around some idiot drunk person out here acting silly.
If we're out and somebody's having a glass of wine,
no, it doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all. But, we don't do a lot. During the summers, we go out on the lake. We, take our Sea-Doo out on the lake. But our normal everyday life is, we wake up, Amanda wakes up before me. She feeds Calvin. And then I'll wake up, play on my phone for a little bit. And then I get up, get ready for work while she's getting ready. She's getting all of our lunch and our stuff ready. And then we leave for work, at 1:00. We don't have to be there till 3:45. So we get there about 2 hours early. And that gives us time to goof off and Amanda time to, eat.
Do all the work.
She does not do all the work. She says that all the time. She does not do all the work. Like, I just like to do my work at my own pace, while she likes to come in and do the work and then blame me for not doing any of the work when we're 2 hours early for work. So, but we do that. We go to work and we come straight home. And if we have to work the next day, or if, it's late, we, take showers, eat, and get in the bed and watch TV. And if it's a day off, then, we have like we have a room downstairs that, has a big, deep couch on it. And so it was supposed to be my room. When we bought this house, Amanda was supposed to have her separate room, and she made that into a workout room with like a Peloton and treadmill and stuff like that. And I was supposed to have my room.
Which was supposed to be like a sitting room, like your game room, couch, all of those. Why would we not?
Because it was that? So it has my shoes, it has my desk with my gaming set up, and so I put her a couch in there, and so she takes over my room, and now when we're off, she sits in there and she watches TV on the TV while I play games on days off. But I take breaks from video games like every so often, and I won't play for months.
That's the most fun too, when he's not playing video games. Love that. Love it.
Do you?
No, not even a little bit. Because you get into project mode, nothing gets finished. You've got like 11 projects going.
That's not true at all.
You have like 11 projects going. And literally, we can't walk from getting off work from the garage to the upstairs without you stopping and needing to project, and it's like an hour before you even make it upstairs. It's just not fun.
No, that's not true.
Not fun. So I would prefer you playing games.
Yeah, so people think, everybody was like, oh, I can't believe your wife, loves for you to play video games. And I was like, yeah, because she doesn't want me doing anything else. She likes to control me and keep me in one seat like this all day with a video game controller in my hand from 10 a.m. in the morning till 9 at night when I go upstairs. Just doing this. What, she will bring me my drinks. She will bring me my food right in that chair. I don't even have to move. I just sitting here playing the games. Yeah, but that gets boring. I have things in my garage. I have a whole workbench out there. I have things I like to do out there, working on stuff. I just did a big back deck for us, 2 decks this summer.
You didn't do them.
No, I paid my uncle to do them, but I still had to, if I was off and they were out there working and I went out there to help them do something for a minute, you'd be like, get back inside. You're not out there,
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Because you talk too much. Just let him do this job.
She'd be like, you went out there to take one piece of wood and you stayed out there for 2 hours.
Nope.
Yeah, no. Sometimes you need to do stuff around the house, like changing light bulbs and mopping the floors. So also for anybody that don't know,
doors.
So, well, you should wash doors. Good wives do wash doors, I'm sure. But Amanda cooks, and I will say this publicly, and I would challenge anybody to have a contest, but she's the best cook, chef, whatever you want to call it, that I know.
I'm not a chef. I've not been to school. I'm just a country cook.
I don't think you have to be. But we were together for almost a year before I knew she could cook. So when I got out of rehab in 2015, I came back to Richmond, and she's from Campbellsville, so that's 2 hours away. And we didn't really know what was going on, or, if we were just friends. And so it was a couple months later, I asked her, like, hey, you want to move to Richmond? She said yes. And so once she come up there, at that point we were super broke, we were super poor. We had this little bitty 2-bedroom apartment. And so, but we worked at restaurants, so we could get food cheap at the restaurant, or we would, eat, microwavable food all the time. And then we had 2 teenage boys, and that's what they loved. We would buy them stuff because we'd be at work at night. And so we didn't want them burning the house down cooking. So we would make sure there was plenty of microwavable stuff for them. But when I don't remember what it was or when it was, but she finally started cooking. And when she did, I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, I didn't even know you could cook. I thought I was the only one that could even cook here. What?
Well, you can't.
I can cook. I can cook really good. You just choose not to let me. So now we bought this house. The kitchen is pretty small, and so she bans me from it when she's cooking. But, you know, she's got a brand new stove, microwave, refrigerator, dishwasher, sink, you know, Traeger, Blackstone. And so I love buying her kitchen gadgets or cooking gadgets. And most of them she never uses. Never. But every now and then, like the Traeger, she loves it. You know, some stuff she really loves when I buy them for her, and she uses them, like air fryers. She loves those. You know, I bought a juicer that I don't even think she's used once, maybe. I bought her a Instapot. No. But anyways, you know, our day is, you know, she'll cook for us every night. And I absolutely, like, she's never going to cook for me that I'm not going to tell her thank you and show her their appreciation for her taking that time to cook for me. But I could go out here and paint the Mona Lisa for her in the garage and come back in, and she would be upset that I was in the garage too long doing a project. Matter of fact, I took an old nightstand a couple years ago, and I spent so much time and energy on this nightstand for her. I mean, I sanded it. I mean, I did everything to make that nightstand so good and painted it for her. And I think she told me it was the wrong color when I was done, and she didn't even pick out the color.
I did not. I didn't say anything. I love the color. You just hyperfixate, and it takes you 10 times as long as it would anybody else to do something. It's just...
Quit messing with him.
I'm not. He's biting my toes.
Calvin, quit biting toes. But
he's ready to alligator. All right. Well, this has been great. More to come in episode 3. If you have questions, send them our way.
Yes, and I do want to do a giveaway for people that are subscribing and liking and sharing our videos. Like, I just have to think of something. If anybody has any ideas, shoot them our way. You know, if you want to like and subscribe to our channel, please do that. Like, we're going to keep doing this. And, you know, if there's certain type of content you all want to see, whether it's more stuff about the addiction side of things, or if you want to see just more about our lives today, or if you want to see, you know, I wanted to start doing some debates and some different stuff there. So I have so many ideas, and, you know, we just appreciate anybody that's took the time to watch so far, with the millions and millions of videos out there. You know, this is just something that I'm passionate about and I really want to do. But, you know, we'll end today's video. Thanks you all. Have a good one.
Come here.